All right, Abby, time for the mailbag. Where are we starting off at today?
Who do you think takes the first running back spot, and does Nebraska's offensive line show enough improvement to have an effective run game?
Well, I think we all agree it's Gabe Urban, but who gets the most carries in that Minnesota game might be the better question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who's the hot hand? Because as we talked about, Anthony Grant's coming on over the last few weeks, and still think Urban's the game one starter, but that workload will be fun to evaluate. And then with the offensive line, I mean, I guess we'll see. They should be better. But
the good news
are they going to be good enough to run the ball effectively against Minnesota's defensive line? I don't know.
It's the good news. The good news is a lot of these questions about this team will be answered in game one.
In thorough
really
the
fashion.
First 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're playing 2 Power 5s out of the gates. I mean, you're not going to dance around with some FCS team.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing men.
Not played in Idaho.
Right.
Like you're going against your direct competition within your division.
Now, Nebraska could have really benefited from an opportunity to play a game like that to open the year. I mean, you think about what playing a conference game has done in Nebraska the last 3 years in a row.
Yep. It
kind of puts you in this hole that Nebraska can never get out of, going back to the 2020 year when they opened with Ohio State, then Illinois, Northwestern, now Minnesota.
Yeah, offensive line. Ask me at about 11 o'clock on August 31.
When you're on your third dilly bar in the Minnesota press box.
When have I ever done 3? 2, 3. I'm a 1 or 2 at the moment.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Next question.
Okay. Is Nebraska's special teams unit flying under the radar with Buschini, Kemp as a returner, and other guys in a kicker battle?
I don't know. I mean, Buschini's good, but I think the kicker battle thing, that's the question. I mean, I believe it's going to be Alvano. And he wasn't as bad in the scrimmage, I think, as people made it out to be. I do think Bleak Road struggled, though, from what I've heard. I think Alvano was 5 of 7, is what I was told. Missed a long one. Bleak Road missed several. So I think it's Alvano's job. He's just got to have another strong week here to finish it off.
And Alvano has shown a knack for being able to step up big in clutch moments inside Memorial Stadium even. But he's still going to be a true freshman out there. And with 90,000 people watching him, and so that's a different element that we don't know about. His leg talent is there, but how is he going to handle being thrown out there when he has to make a kick with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter in a 1-score game? Like, that's what we don't know about a true freshman. So Buschini's I think the known commodity. I think Kemp can be a no-brainer there at punt return, but I don't know if that return game, I wouldn't call it game-changing yet. And then beyond Buschini, the kicking game, I think, still needs to be proven. The
question with Kemp will be on punt returns. Okay, he's proven himself at a high level in terms of being reliable.
Yeah,
catching the ball. I think he said he only had 3 drops in that at Virginia, and that encompassed 103 returns, I think was the number, maybe more than that.
He fielded 140 punts.
Oh, 140. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, he didn't have a big average, though, isn't like 5 yards a return. Can he break a few? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you hear on Alvano from smart people is it's just the ball sounds different coming off his foot. That's key. I mean, he's probably got a more powerful leg, so accuracy's the deal, and I think he's pretty accurate. I think it will be Alvano too.
On the returns too, a big part of it is, Bill Callan used to always say that you got to vice the gunners. Like, can Nebraska hold up those gunners to get a return? I mean,
it's big. Special teams is like a lot of things in football. It's very complex. There's a lot of moving parts that have to work well for it to be good. One thing we haven't talked about at all because it's been good is the snap and the hold. It hasn't been bad for 3 years. I don't think there's been a botch in 3 years, for sure. 2. Can you remember one?
Mm-mm.
I don't. They've been good there. Will that continue? I mean, that's something Nebraska hasn't had problems with.
Ortiz is a good snapper from all
we'll
reports.
See on that.
And they're playing a lot of starters on special teams and guys that aren't just being put there. They want to be on special teams. I think that makes a big difference.
Oh, huge difference.
Okay, our next question. We talked about this a little bit earlier this week, but which players on Nebraska's current team could play on both sides of the ball? Hypothetically.
I think Gabe Irvin could play some linebacker.
Grant. Anthony Grant. I think he could play safety linebacker.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some real obvious.
Nash Hutmacher.
Yeah,
could play O-line. Ty Robinson probably.
Tommy Hill.
Tommy Hill. He did
it
limitedly.
There should be a lot of guys.
Simple, did you write a Tommy Hill receiver column?
Well, I thought maybe they'd go to him a little bit because he was fast and they just needed help anywhere. I mean, the offense was, what was it, 100th in the country. I mean, I just thought they needed something.
That thing
did.
last year was hard to wrap your hands around.
Right. Well, no, it wasn't. It was easy to wrap your hands around. It was bad.
It was nothing.
Right. It wasn't a complex discussion to me. There should be a lot of guys in this discussion. Right?
Hutmacher.
I said, yeah.
You said him. Okay.
A lot of guys.
Yeah.
Buschini.
I mean, don't you think a guy like Alex Bullock could play on defense? Like
Speaking
a safety.
of punters, like Sam Foltz could have played safety, receiver, and punter. He could have played all three levels.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's how good of an athlete. And Sam Foltz was a whole.
Am I wrong on this? Do you think a lot of players could do this? It's just a question of how good, I mean,
Right. I mean, they could do it. I don't know
how good.
Yeah, what the product would actually look like.
I mean, Alex Bullock could probably play safety. He played safety at a pretty high level.
He played corner in high school.
Corner,
He was good. I mean,
good corner.
the game I went to at Lincoln Southeast, he had 2 picks and 2 touchdown receptions. I think in the same
corner,
game.
not safety.
In two touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he was all over.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy you think could do it. I mean, even Kemp is a physical guy. I think he could play maybe a corner. You just don't know how, like a guy like Kemp, how does he turn and run? How's his hips? I don't know.
Like Maurice Washington, they used to say, like, could have stepped in and been like an elite corner.
Really?
Like
Not surprised.
His hips.
He was really fluid. Yeah, really fluid.
And then obviously at running back, he didn't even practice and would just run 80-yard runs. That's why he got a lot of chances.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Next question.
Okay. Who are the next breakout offensive and defensive linemen, and who does Nebraska need to be the next breakout ones?
And these are, once again, really hard. But I think Princewell, Cam Lenhart,
Good names.
you got to start there. And then Riley Van Poppel. I think, and Jason Machacek. I mean, I really like his big picture look. Alafa too. They've got a group of D linemen on
Just
this
all
roster.
young.
But you can't put kids against grown men.
Can't you say Judy?
Yeah, I don't look at him as a young player.
No,
You don't.
He's a junior.
I mean, he's a transfer from Texas A&M that's played at A&M.
Yeah. But couldn't he break out at Nebraska? Couldn't this be his breakout time?
Could be.
Yeah, that's what
It
I. That's
should be
what I-
nice if it was.
Yeah, I look at him like he could break out.
Is this just defensive line?
Offensive and
How
defensive.
about Gatula?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Sam.
that's your left tackle in waiting right there.
Looks
I
like
don't
it.
think so.
No?
I think he's only there by default. I mean, I think there's going to be more and more development in guys. I think Sam Sledge is the guy that's going to emerge and be the center after Ben Scott.
Yeah, not left tackle.
I don't know if Gatula is a true Big Ten left tackle yet. I mean, I think he's getting the reps because they don't have anybody. Like he's getting reps by necessity. He was here in the spring. I've seen enough of him. He's got a ways to go to play at this level, but he's got a lot of good reps, which you can't, downgrade. I just think to say he's ready to be the left tackle like a year from now, that's a huge jump.
They've slipped Justin Jenkins into the conversation a couple times. And they say what you always hear about Justin Jenkins is he's just tougher than hell.
New Jersey kid.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. I mean, he has that look. He looks tough. There's some names.
Final question.
Okay. Nebraska's season opener against Minnesota is coming up at the end of the month. What is your most memorable season opener?
I would say the 03 Oklahoma State Nebraska game for me.
Good one.
And it was big in a lot of senses because it was Frank Solich kind of rebooted his staff, 6 new assistant coaches, Bo Pelini. It was an opener. It was a ranked team. The previous summer, I was interning at ESPN, and I can remember when I was there, Bill Byrne actually walked through the room I was in, and he was negotiating that game to get moved to start the season.
You are kidding.
And he was there to talk with ESPN.
You are kidding.
And they moved the game up.
You've never told me that story.
And so I was sitting there, and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm working here for the summer." And then in the newsroom of ESPN, and he was there, like, and then they announced it was in May when I was May, June, July, August, and it was sometime in May. Then they moved that game to open the year. But Mike Gundy was the offensive coordinator, Les Miles the head coach, and we interviewed the coaches before the game at the walkthroughs. Like Frank would do 5 minutes on Friday, not Thursday, Friday, and then Les Miles and Gundy were available. And I remember I interviewed Mike Gundy for 1620 back then, and he was just like, "We have no idea what the hell we're going to see." He goes, "We've been watching film, but we're just guessing. Like, we don't know."
That's really uncomfortable.
And then you watch that game, and they had no idea. Like, Bo Pelini came out with a completely different scheme than I believe it was Fields. So it was the quarterback of Oklahoma. So Josh Fields, maybe. former baseball
Mhm.
player. And then they had Rashawn Woods. Rashawn Woods
I
had
know they had Rashawn Woods.
Rashawn Woods had his lowest game, really, of his career. It was like 15. His lowest output in like 15 straight games against Nebraska, 46 yards.
Damn, interesting.
So
What's
that's
yours?
mine.
Go for it.
Oh, I mean, mine in terms of impact lately is Illinois in 2021. It was an amazing day, just in terms of impact. It was a you know what show. That's what it was, and it had a huge impact on the way I looked at everything about the program, Frost program. Frost coming out and saying we weren't ready for the look they showed us on defense. Oh, really? Really? They
I
showed you
felt like
something
I've
really
watched-
different? I mean, that was bizarre almost.
The movie line too was big.
Oh, and the other thing I remember is how pissed those players, the Nebraska players, were after the game. It was hard to interview them; they were so angry.
Mhm.
And I seldom have I felt that from a Nebraska player, that it was they were super angry. So it was not good. And I just remember it. There was a lot about the day I remember. I remember watching Illinois warming up and saying to Chris Basnet, Nebraska's going to have trouble with this. That Illinois, they weren't bad. They weren't bad that year.
Mm-mm.
They were a big, strong team up front. And I thought, this looks very dangerous to me. I didn't like Nebraska's chances at all when I was watching warm-ups.
Mhm.
So I just remember the impact.
Yeah.
The impact.
Last year, it's hard to beat going to Dublin and then
Oh, yeah.
having a coach essentially be fired after one game. Like, you knew it was done at that
Impact.
point. And so that one is up there. From a positive standpoint, though, you got to go to the Kickoff Classic in '94 when, coming off that brutal national championship loss, Nebraska goes to East Rutherford, New Jersey, to Giants Stadium, just totally dominates West Virginia. Top 25 West Virginia team, by the way, 31-0. Frazier just went off, and that was like, here we go.
Flex.
The run begins.
Huge flex.
Yeah.
My dad went to that game
Did you, what?
with my dad and his uncles, his brothers and friends. They would go to like the Orange Bowls, the Fiesta. They would go in the kickoff. I mean, that was a lot. I mean, if I remember right, a lot of Nebraskans went to New York City. I mean, it was
Oh, yeah.
turn the Nebraskans loose in Times Square. Like it was quite the.
I watched that game back in Lincoln with Haas. I wasn't covering the team at that time. Not full time.
You were on the bowling beat back then.
I was on the. I think I was.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I wrote a Sunday bowling column every Sunday.
I covered cross country, rifle. I mean, we did it all back in the early
Sean
days.
covering cross country is interesting.
Ball, softball, volleyball. I mean, we've all put our time in.
Oh yeah,